Namaste, yogis, and welcome to SoHA, School of Healing Arts, where I will help you deepen your practice, polish your teaching skills, and create a happy, healthy, and wealthy life. So in today's episode, we are going to talk about how to create a personal practice at home without having to be a pro. And why I'm going into this topic, because so many people ask me, how do I develop a personal practice? What are the things that I have to think of? How can I manage to not have to go to the studio, every week and be able to stay home, practice what I love, and not get confused with the sequences and basically have a self-practice. So today I'm going to break it down for you, giving you tips and tricks to create an amazing self-yoga practice that feels good in your body, that helps you go through the essentials of what you need to think about. And yeah, hopefully you can use it and build your own beautiful home self-study practice.
Someday, some of you will shine. You're blowing up my mind, hey yo.
Okay, so many students contact me saying, well, I've had a really hard time remembering sequences, or I have a hard time knowing how to move when I'm by myself. And that's totally fine. It tends to happen when you don't have, too many years of experience, and you're not such a pro, and you just don't have it yet in the intrinsic body of, in the intrinsic memory of your body. So I'm going to tell you the tips that I, take into consideration so that your practice feels overall, so that you're moving your whole body, it feels healthy, it feels healing, and it basically flushes your whole system, creating lots of vitality and health and vibrancy and bringing radiance into your life. So the first things that you have to consider are, well, first and foremost, what is my intention? What is your intention when you're coming onto the mat? Is it, and not just physically, what's my physical intention? Do you want to become more flexible? Are you doing this for hypertrophy or for building your muscle mass? Are you doing practice because you need to be stronger? Do you want to become more mobile and flexible in a certain pose or in a certain joint or body part? So considering if it's for flexibility, if it's for mobility, for strength, for resistance training, or is it for overall, skill? It's an overall, sensation of I want to feel good today. So these are different kinds of intentions. And so therefore, each intention will have a different kind of practice. If I want to work on strength, I'm definitely going to work on repetitions, and I'm going to work on the same leg for a couple, at least, 5 good minutes. You're going to burn that leg, or, things like this are going to build up your strength. Where if you're working towards flexibility and mobility, well, you want to think about, what's the fastest way to become flexible, which is the active flexibility, which will engage with exercises that allow you to become flexible as well as mobile whilst you're stretching the muscle. So different kinds of intentions will give you different kinds of practices. Now, you don't have to know all of this and you don't have to memorize it, but I'm just going to give you essential tips so that your overall practice at home feels amazing. Number one, sit down, kneel with yourself, and come into what's my intention? Not just in your physical body, but why are you on the mat? Is there anything emotional or spiritual, or is there anything that you're okay, I'm working towards manifesting my training in Bali with SoHA, School of Healing Arts, or what's your spiritual, emotional intention, and then how to link that into your movements. And always opening and closing with a prayer. We have to remember that yoga is not Pilates, it's not, fit training. It's not any of these things. Yoga is different from all of the other rest of the practices that you find in a gym because it incorporates body, mind, and spirit. So you want to be able to sit down, grab your intention, take a breath, work with your pranayama, work with your breath, and work with your body. So it's this, beautiful triangle that's going to move and shift your chi energy, your energy and chi levels. So the intention. Number 2, there are 3 anatomical planes of movements of the spine that involve different kinds of movements. So our spine, intervertebral joints, the axial skeleton, like anything that's in the midline, you have those 3 anatomical planes, which is going to incorporate the sagittal plane, which is flexing and extending, right? Anything that forward folding and opening your heart. There's a coronal plane that is going to help you side bend. And then there's a transverse plane, which is going to help you twist. So these 3 anatomical planes allow you to explore 7 movements of the spine. So you have flexion, extension, 2. Side bend, another 2. Twist, twist, another 2. And the 7th movement is going to be lengthening your spine. When you breathe and you create space between your vertebrae. It doesn't matter what you do, if it's flexibility, if it's for mobility, if it's for hypertrophy, if it's for strength, whatever your intention is within your practice, make sure that in your personal practice you include the 7 movements of the spine, especially when you're warming up. In your warm-up, cat-cow pose universe, make sure you're twisting, make sure you're side bending, make sure you're flexing and extending. This is a really amazing topic that I love to talk about because in the tradition of yoga and the ancient traditions, they used to do sun salutations for warming up. But guess what? In a sun salutation, you do not find the coronal plane for side bending, and you also do not find the twisting, which is very interesting. So you need a lot more. The modern times, the latest research, the constant evolution of science is helping us understand the body in much greater ways that is also revolutionizing the way that we practice. This is why I myself teach mandala vinyasa, because our salutations are 360 degrees on the mat, involving all these 7 movements of your spine. Okay, let's continue. So, making sure you know your intention. Number 2, visiting the 3 anatomical planes of the spine that involve the 7 movements of the spine, right? Number 3, well, first of all, let me just check. Oh, yeah, the playlist. Number 3, the playlist. Just checking my notes here. I love to practice with my favorite tunes. Like if and when I have the right appropriate music to dance to on the mat, my body is gonna come into some kind of entrainment. Like my bones, my skeletons, my muscles, like everything is gonna wanna follow the sexy beat. So you need to have your own awesome playlists. And you'll find a video also on how to create a playlist soon enough. And yeah, so if you don't have an epic playlist yet, just make sure you get any kind of platform like Spotify or SoundCloud or whatever you have, and start saving tunes that you like. What I do personally is I download the app called Shazam, and then I download Spotify, and every time I'm walking around a restaurant or I'm somewhere and I'm in a place where I hear an awesome tune, I Shazam the tune and I add it to my yoga playlists. more on that later in another video, but let's continue. Having an amazing music will also help you modify your connective tissue. Believe it or not, music has the ability to restructure your connective tissue. It's crazy, but it's true. That's why yin yoga with really beautiful music tends to be very helpful. So, intention, 3 anatomical planes of the spine, 7 movements of the spine, epic playlist, and let's not be a perfectionist. That's number 4, is let go of having to make 2 sides identical. You don't have to do the same sequence on the right side and on the left. Many times you'll go and move and come into a flow state onto the right side, and then you're coming to the left and you're like, what? I don't remember anything. So it doesn't matter. Don't be attached to making the sequence exactly, perfectly second-sided, identical. So just know that your 2 sides are different sides and they're asking for different movements. Obviously, you want to keep it along the same lines, but however, yet exploring, dancing, and allowing yourself to feel free on the mat is primordial, essential. If you want to have a great experience on the mat and you want to keep practicing and you want to keep the practice fun so that you can engage and feel motivated and come back tomorrow, keep it easy. Keep it easy flowing. Don't make it so rigid. Don't be too hard on yourself. And yeah. Last thing that I can say that could possibly help is scheduling your practice. If you schedule the practice and you know, like, okay, this moment in time, Wednesdays, 12 p.m., I've got nothing and that's where I'm going to practice. Or you can even do like, Monday, I'm going to work on pumping up the blood and like the joints and bouncing and strength training. Wednesday, I'm going to work on flexibility, on mobility, and keeping my body flexible whilst I can move anywhere in place. And Friday, I'm going to work on restorative yin yoga, kind of more remodeling, reshaping your connective tissue. So also scheduling what you want to work on which days. And it could be like legs and abs. And then Wednesdays could be like arm balances and twists or whatever. And then, you know, you can just play with what you're seeking. So yeah, those are my tips for personal practice. Some other things that I want to just mention is be aware that sometimes when you don't have enough time practicing, especially when you haven't practiced for, let's say, at least 6 months, your alignment can be a little bit out of tune. So that could be a con or a negative part of practicing by yourself, is that you can't really correct your alignment if it's wrong. That could be modified if you video yourself and then you watch the video and you say, holy cow, my chaturanga is horrible. So videoing yourself can also sometimes help, but it does have the downfall that it can distract you from actually coming into your flow state. So make sure that you kind of do have, you know, visits to the studio so that you can get properly aligned. And if you feel like you want a deeper calling and you want to know more about anatomy and you want to go deeper into the practice, I fully recommend taking a workshop or a teacher training, which is going to be your 200 hour to start your foundation of yoga. Of course, I recommend my programs. Please go ahead and, you know, look into all of the links below to find all the trainings and offerings that we have. If you did find this video useful, please subscribe, please like, and write us a little comment. If you want me to also film anything about any inquiry that you have, also write it down in the comments and I'll make sure to read them and make the best that I can do. All right, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it and see you on the next one.
Someday, some of you will shine. You're blowing up my mind.